Atlanta is making headlines again. After the complete mess of the YSL trial, the city has now turned its focus to Lil Baby, and the accusations are serious. The commander of Atlanta's homicide unit even blamed Lil Baby for the double murder of 2 teens and linked him to a long series of violent events. In this video, we're talking about the Lil Baby 4PF RICO case that almost happened on May 14, 2024. 30-year-old Dominique Jones, better known as Lil Baby, was supposed to shoot a music video. Location was Dixie Hills in Zone 1 West Atlanta, right near the old Hidden Village apartments. It's a half-abandoned, broken-down apartment complex with a violent history, and even if you check Google Earth, you'll see it's still a rough area. Honestly, it was the kind of place Lil Baby probably shouldn't have been. The video shoot had already started, and a full production crew was there when suddenly gunfire broke out. Atlanta police got calls just before 5 p.m. saying multiple people had been shot. When they showed up, they found a 24-year-old man with a gunshot wound to his arm and a 27-year-old man shot in the back. Thankfully, both were awake, breathing, and alert. Meanwhile, a 23-year-old man didn't wait for help. He got rushed to the hospital by someone else after being shot in the neck. He also survived.
Tonight at 11, police are working to try to find out who opened fire on the set of a music video reportedly featuring Atlanta's very own Lil Baby.
The shooting happened just before 5 o'clock tonight. There is a map right here on your screen of where this all took place on Verbena Street. That's in the Dixie Hills neighborhood in the northwest part of the city.
Baby just pulled up on us. You know, we doing it big around this month.
Chaos in this parking lot.
We had multiple individuals flee the scene subsequent to the shooting,
leaving a trail of evidence scattered across the crime scene.
We just heard pow, 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 and that thing over, da-da-da-da-da-da, and we grabbed the kids, and everybody was just running. It was a whole bunch of chaos.
Atlanta police said the shooting seemed like an isolated, targeted attack, but it ended up making an already deadly feud between 2 gangs even worse. One of those gangs was the Goodfellas. One of Atlanta's oldest gangs started back in the early 2000s by Abdullah Williamson. It's said they first formed inside the Rice Street Jail and grew into a strong prison gang closely tied with the Bloods who dominate the Georgia prison system. Abdullah, also known as Lil Duel, is now serving a life sentence. His second-in-command, Johnny McClendon, is also locked up for life after he allegedly ordered a hit on one of their own members. That member was released from prison only to be murdered a few days later. The Goodfellas had power both inside prison and out on the streets. Inspired by the Italian mafia, they sometimes went by names like the Mob, La Familia, or La Cosa Nostra. But make no mistake, they weren't the mafia. This was a Georgia-born prison gang that was all about violence. OMF, short for Only My Family, was a younger branch of the Goodfellas. They were mostly based out of West Atlanta, especially around Dixie Hills, the same area where Lil Baby's music video shootout happened on the other side. You had 4PF 4 Pockets Full, Lil Baby's crew from Oakland City in southwest Atlanta. 4PF was more about making money than violence, but the streets claim they weren't exactly innocent either. According to rumors, OMF believed that 4PF was behind the 2021 killing of 19-year-old Marcus Holland, known as Big Mark, an OMF member. Mark was shot at a Shell gas station, and his headstone even reads, "Gravedigger police think Lil Baby chose to shoot his video in rival territory knowing the risks and it didn't end well." OMF allegedly shot up the video set in honor of Big Mark on Instagram. Mark went by 2500 Mark, a reference to 2500 Center Street where the Etheridge Court projects his home were located. Just 4 days after the shootout on May 18, 2024, police responded to a shooting at those same projects. It was 2 a.m. when they found 21-year-old Nia Cox dead shot while sitting in the passenger seat of a car. Her child was sitting right behind her. Investigators believe 4PF retaliated, aiming for OMF members, but Nia became an innocent victim caught in the crossfire. The violence didn't stop there. The next month, 31-year-old OMF member Trevante Turner was found shot to death inside an apartment. His cousin Keontae Sanders, known in OMF as Midnight, was locked up at Hancock State Prison, but was still organizing revenge from behind bars. Through phone calls and social media, investigators uncovered plans by OMF members to target John Smith, aka 4PF J-Shot, a close associate of Lil Baby who police listed as a gang leader. OMF believed J-Shot was the one who killed Travante. On July 2nd, 2024, OMF struck back around 12:34 a.m. Atlanta police rushed to the West End apartments deep in 4PF territory. There, they found 13-year-old Lamont Freeman dead, 13-year-old Jackie Davis in critical condition, and 11-year-old Dantavius Davis shot in the foot. Sadly, Jackie later died at the hospital. Investigators found out the Davis brothers had just stepped outside, around midnight, to wish Lamont a happy birthday when they were ambushed. Surveillance videos showed 2 cars circling the apartments twice before 6 shooters jumped out and opened fire. They found shell casings from high-powered rifles like 5.56, 7.62, and 223 rounds. Lamont was shot in the head, and Jackie was hit multiple times in the chest. 7 OMF and Goodfellas members were arrested, including Keontae Sanders, who had been planning the attacks from prison. It's believed they were hunting for 4PF members, but instead ended up murdering kids with assault rifles. And here's the crazy part. Atlanta's homicide commander ended up blaming Lil Baby for starting all this violence.
Major Ralph Woolfolk of the Violent Crime Interdiction Section. And I first want to say the overall theme of this case is grown men playing gangster that left 2 of our children in graves and a community in fear. Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. And cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw homicides and shootings, and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions. And you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions.
Ralph Woolfolk, Atlanta's homicide commander, said Lil Baby caused the chain reaction of violence, all because he filmed a music video in a neighborhood he shouldn't have been in. According to him, that one move led to Nasia being shot in front of her child Travante being murdered in his apartment, and 2 teens being gunned down with rifles. But here's the thing, why hasn't Lil Baby been charged? Because the accusations don't hold up. It's easier to blame a millionaire Grammy-winning rapper than to look at the police who failed to stop the same people committing these murders. Not one of the guns had Lil Baby's fingerprints. And let's be real, the guy's been on tour. Does it really sound like he's out here planning hits? If anything, it doesn't look like 4PF has been taking losses. It's OMF who's been losing member after member. So why would Lil Baby even need to get involved? On March 31, 2025, a preliminary hearing was held to decide if there was enough evidence for the teenage shooters to go to trial. Atlanta gang detective Marissa Vero took the stand. She said police used social media wiretaps, ballistics, surveillance footage, and informants to build a case against 7 members of OMF and the Goodfellas. Detective Vero had been working undercover, and her identity was supposed to stay secret, but it was leaked online. While testifying, she spoke about the wiretaps and claimed they showed Lil Baby's alleged involvement in several murder-for-hire plots.
Oh, what's going on? Man, like, come on, bro, you know what's finna go on. Like, how the hell you can, you know what I'm saying? They ain't even like that, man. Them got tickets on a lot of these folks, I'm telling you.
We just heard somebody say these folks got tickets on these people. We know what's going on. First of all, who was that said that about the tickets?
Unk, the unidentified male that was being referred to as Unk.
And he's speaking with Mr. Sanders?
Correct.
And what, in your experience, do you know what tickets are?
A price on somebody's head.
What do you mean by, what do you mean on somebody's head? What is that?
Like a bounty.
Okay. To have them arrested?
Harmed. Or
And who were they referring to in that portion of the call?
They were saying that they had heard that Dominique Jones had tickets on a lot of people's heads.
Dominique Jones had wanted to have people harmed.
Correct.
The audio from the wiretaps was played in court, but let's be clear. This wasn't 4PF members admitting Lil Baby was calling shots or anything like that. It was OMF and Goodfellas members talking about Lil Baby on the wiretaps that proves. Absolutely nothing. Of course, they're going to throw the richest guy linked to 4PF under the bus, but that doesn't mean Lil Baby actually did anything, and that's exactly why, to this day, he hasn't been charged with a single crime. Funny. Enough the same gang expert used in this case, Detective Vero also played a key role in the failed YSL trial. In that case, Young Thug nearly had his probation revoked just for calling her the biggest liar in the DA's office. But the judge ruled in Thug's favor, saying he had a right to free speech. When you put it all together, the so-called 4PF RICO case looks like nothing more than a myth. A desperate attempt by Fulton County's DA office to bounce back after the YSL embarrassment, blaming Lil Baby for a group of grown men choosing to shoot children with rifles. That's not just ridiculous, it borders on defamation. Lil Baby eventually responded on Instagram simply saying, "Thanks for all the concern, please don't be misinformed. By fake news, I'm overly good." And let's not forget Lil Baby is being represented by powerhouse attorney Drew Findling. He's the same lawyer who's worked with Lil Durk and NBA YoungBoy. So yeah, the Atlanta DA probably doesn't want those problems.
Now, for a while, everybody has been wondering about this 4PF Lil Baby RICO indictment that's supposed to be coming. And in my opinion, I don't think it ever is, because it's literally hearsay. You have opposing gang members saying that Lil Baby's put bounties on people. Why is that? Well, because he's the one with the money, right? So it's the equivalent of Durk's ops saying he's the one putting money on people. But in Durk's case, that isn't it. People in Durk's camp are the ones, snitching, saying shit like that. So as far as this Lil Baby case, those wiretaps mean nothing. The homicide commander blaming him for everything that happened, I don't agree with. You can't control what people are gonna do. And what doesn't make sense to me is, why would you shoot a high production music video in rival gang territory? Like, if you're gonna do something in rival territory, you think that you would just do it with a cameraman and a bunch of your homies that got guns. They had a whole fucking trailer there. They got a whole bunch of people that work real jobs, like sound engineers, cameramans. Why would you bring all of them into a situation where something could turn deadly? That to me doesn't make any sense. Which in my mind just pushes the narrative that he wasn't thinking about any enemies or people sliding on him, or he didn't have any ill intent being there doing that music video. But it resulted in a shooting, and nothing actually says he was one of the people that was shot at. It was just a shooting. But let me know y'all's thoughts and comments. Do you think the DA is reaching? They're trying to, get their reputation back after what happened with YSL? Or do you think they actually have a case and they could try to maneuver something where they put bullshit charges on Lil Baby? Drop y'all's thoughts in the comment section. It's 1090J. I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. Until next time.